US and Israel launched an attack on Iran's Natanz nuclear site, marking a further escalation to the conflict now entering its fourth week.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban raised the prospect of further actions against Ukraine despite criticism on his veto against the European Union's €90 billion loan.
A couple has been killed and their children wounded in a Russian strike on the southern eastern Ukrainian city of Zaporizhzhia.
The United States and Israel launched an attack on Iran's Natanz nuclear site, marking a further escalation to the conflict now entering its fourth week. The UN's nuclear watchdog confirmed that there had been no radiation leakage, but urged for military restraint to avoid a nuclear accident. Meanwhile, Iran fired 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles at a joint US-UK military base in the Indian Ocean. The missiles reportedly did not strike the base, but it does show Iran is not hesitant to use missiles that reach beyond the Middle East. The latest developments come as the US is deploying additional warships and troops to the region. This is despite mixed signals from US President Donald Trump suggesting he was considering, quote, winding down military operations in the region. Meanwhile, attacks have been ongoing. Overnight into Saturday, Israel continued to launch strikes at Tehran, while in Israel, debris from an Iranian missile struck an empty kindergarten.
Russia launched 154 drones in overnight attacks on Ukraine, which says it downed 148 of them. In the southern east city of Zaporizhzhia, a strike killed a couple and wounded their children, aged 15 and 11, and 4 others, according to the regional administration. Ukraine's armed forces say 5 drone strikes hit 4 locations, and downed debris fell on 7 places. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry claims to have downed 283 Ukrainian drones overnight, whilst Ukraine says to have struck facilities at the Russian Saratov oil refinery. Ukrainian drone manufacturer Skyfall shows off its P-1 Sun interceptor drone. Interest in these drones has recently spiked as they have proven successful in intercepting larger loitering munitions, according to a Skyfall spokesman. They're also cheap to produce, easy to customize and fast to deploy, according to its makers.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban raised the prospect of further actions against Ukraine on Friday, a day after he doubled down on his veto against the European Union's €90 billion loan.
Magyarországnak Ukrajna olajblokkádjának letörésére nem csak 90 milliárdos hitelblokkolás van a kezében. Nekünk vannak más eszközeink is. 40%-a ukrán energia, villamos energia ellátásának Magyarországon keresztül megy. Ahhoz még hozzá se nyújtunk. Folyamatosan új szankciós csomagokat akarnak bevezetni, az egyhangúságot igényel. Majd nem adjuk meg. Hasonlóképpen a következő 7 éves költségvetésben Ukrajnának pénzt akarnak adni. Majd nem hagyjuk jó. Azt akarom mondani, hogy rengeteg kártya van a kezünkben. Szerintem nem érdemes kötözködni Magyarországon.
Tensions between Hungary and Ukraine have escalated in recent weeks into a bitter feud over Hungary's access to Russian oil through the Druzhba pipeline, which was damaged in what Ukraine says was a Russian drone strike. Orban, however, insists that Ukraine has purposely sabotaged the pipeline to orchestrate an energy crisis ahead of a tight election. EU leaders rebuked what they called unacceptable behavior by Hungary akin to blackmail following an EU summit on Thursday, accusing Orban of holding up critical aid and undermining EU decision-making in an effort to win an election at home.
The French Navy intercepted and boarded a tanker in the Mediterranean Sea on Friday. President Emmanuel Macron said it is linked to Russia's sanctioned shadow fleet, which ships oil in violation of international sanctions over Moscow's war on Ukraine. The tanker Dana is suspected of operating under a false flag designation. The interception took place in the Western Mediterranean and was carried out in cooperation with allies such as the United Kingdom. The tanker was diverted and escorted by the French Navy to an anchorage point for further checks. The case was referred to a prosecutor in the port of Marseille.